Welcome in, everybody. It is week 4, the final week of our Women of Fantasy Football event. I am Josh Hudson, one of the hosts of Club Fantasy's No Punt Intended. Faith and Lauren are standing by, and we have another great set of guests for you to close out this year's event. Cooter Doodle, who everybody knows is the social media brains behind the MB Fantasy Life Twitter and Instagram handle, as well as Renee Miller from NBC Sports Edge and The Athletic. Plus, we're giving away a signed Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson jerseys. Stay tuned.
Hi, everybody. Wow. Hey, girl. Hey. Welcome.
Hey.
Was it just me, or was that intro music super duper loud?
It was in the best way, though.
I had to turn my volume down.
It was in the best way. Hooked me up, got me ready.
You know what? It's the 4th week. It's our last episode for 2021 of Women of Fantasy Football. I thought for sure I was going to be able to come right out of the intro and go into my intro, but we come out of the intro and we go, Lauren, wasn't that just really loud? So anyway, welcome to our Women of Fantasy Football event here on Club Fantasy's No Pun Intended. If you are used to watching the show the other 48 weeks of the year, you are used to seeing Josh, Joe, and Ryan. We have booted them out for the last 3 weeks. This is our final Wednesday of us taking over. Myself, Faith, my co-host, Stepmom Lauren, and we have our fabulous guest. If you are anywhere on Twitter, especially Fantasy Football Twitter, you know the woman below us, Cooter Doodle. She's got more comedic genius in her pinky than I think Lauren and I have put together.
Oh, I was going to say I keep it very serious on the timeline. I'm not one of the jokesters. I like to keep it serious. I'm tired of the jokes,
Makes total sense. So, Lauren, before we start interviewing Cooter, why don't you let everybody know who's watching, who may not know what Women of Fantasy Football is all about?
Absolutely. Okay, so Women of Fantasy Football is a way to celebrate women who are not just in the fantasy football industry, like some of us are, but also women in sports, women who are breaking barriers, women who are trying to make a name for themselves. And we're here to celebrate all of that. And I think what's really cool about all of this is it's also all the donations that you guys have done for the raffle tickets that you're purchasing to get these awesome giveaways that Josh has set up. All of that goes to Women's Sports Foundation. I can speak English, I promise. And it's a really cool foundation. It's just a way to get, women more involved in the sports industry and just let them know that, hey, if you're into this, it's not just a guy thing. A lot of chicks are too. So it's a really cool way to just connect with like-minded people, really celebrate women that are in the industry, and mostly just have a lot of fun and interrogate people, apparently. Am I good cop or bad cop?
Oh, that's a good question.
Lauren,
I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Before it's over, I'll let you know.
Okay. She's looking at me like I have to say something right now. All I'm thinking of, how can I'm trying to get into character here.
So, okay, as I mentioned earlier, I cut you off.
So
I'm going to do
close.
that. I know.
Okay.
Now you know how it feels.
Go get it. Get it.
As most everybody knows, Cooter, you have a special place in your heart for the New Orleans Saints. And Lauren has a special place in her heart for just New Orleans in general. So, Lauren, take it away.
Cooter Doodle, how are you doing?
I mean, emotionally, physically, I'm doing great. I cannot say the same for the city of New Orleans right now. But, like, the last week aside, we have Jameis Winston, and that's what I've been rooting for since last season. So that makes me happy. And hopefully everything will get, rebuilt and things will get power on and we'll have some games in the Dome this season. But I know that opener with Green Bay will not be in the Dome, which is a little upsetting.
Yeah, that is one of the coolest stadiums I think I've ever been to. New Orleans does hold a very special place in my heart. I've got my mask right over here, my little New Orleans mask. I'm repping my Saints earrings. I've got my Saints fleur-de-lis here. It's a sister city to St. Louis, where I grew up. It's a very special place in my heart. So thoughts and prayers out to not just you and your family, but all of your countrymen there in Louisiana that I know are going through a lot of stuff. And also thank you so much for taking the time out to spend with us here this evening, knowing all of those things are going on. So I'm glad to hear that you are doing okay. Is there anything that we, the people who are not in Louisiana, who may not know what is going on, is there anything that we can do that you know of where we can go help? What can we do to be?
Yeah, I shared something a few days ago and I can retweet it after this show. It's just a few different areas just to get food, water, things like that. There's so many homes, people that don't even have anything to go back to right now, much so less sad. No water. So yeah, I'll retweet that later and we can kind of spread the word just for places to donate and everything like that. I do want to ask though, have you ever been in the Dome?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yes. So you know how loud it gets in there. It
is amazing. It is honestly amazing. I always have to go to New Orleans every single year. I did not get a chance to go this year. COVID, I hate you. But it's one of those things we always love to do. We go to a Saints game and the Dome is one of those like mysteriously magical places, just like New Orleans. It embodies something very special. But like the floor and the seats and the air like vibrates with the noise and the energy and the excitement. It is a pretty spectacular place to go. So
I don't know if you've ever heard of.
Up soon.
I don't know if you've heard of that game where there was a no call against the Rams.
No.
Okay. Well, there was this game.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I hate the Rams.
We don't need to talk about it, but that game in particular. The coach had said like, oh, we'll be fine. Their coach had said, oh, we'll be fine. It's not loud. And so, of course, Sean Payton told all like the fans, hey, we have to bring it. And when I'm telling you, I've been to plenty of games over the years. That particular game, you didn't stop yelling unless we were on defense. There was literally yelling the entire time. And so when that no call happened, it was just heartbreaking. But it can get so loud in there. And that was one that I'll never forget because it just was not silent until we were on defense. It was crazy. Or offense.
Oh, girl. So next time I go to New Orleans, I'm hitting you up and I'd be like, Cooter Doodle, French Quarter, you and me, let's go, girl. I absolutely love it.
If they're there, that this Thanksgiving, it's against the Bills. That's going to be a good one. We'll be there for that one if they're back. So
that's right around my birthday.
Yeah, November 25th.
Our birthday, Lauren.
Our birthday.
Our birthday.
I'm the only one that's ever born in the month of November.
Late November at that. Actually, it's closer to my birthday than it is yours, Lauren.
It's very true. It's very true.
So I think you should just both come down then. That's what it sounds like.
I agree.
I feel like I have to just say for the record that I recently binge watched all 7 seasons of NCIS New Orleans. So
great show.
I haven't seen that, but I can imagine the hijinks that they get into.
Oh yeah. I haven't been to New Orleans since I was like 8 years old. Fun story. We were driving through New Orleans because my grandmother lived in Mississippi. And so we had gone to visit. And it's like 9:00 at night. We're in New Orleans. We're on Bourbon Street. Me, 8 years old. Hi.
I was going to say, wow. Okay.
I got to go to the bathroom.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah. My mom just like walks into this like bar thing. We go in and like, as we're walking out, they're like, excuse me, ma'am, the restroom's only for customers. And she's like, okay. And keeps walking. She's like, I've already used it for what I needed it for. What are you going to do? Kick me out? We're leaving.
And the fact that they want to follow rules is very funny to me. But, so we were on Bourbon. I don't know. I'm going off the rails here. I'm sorry. So we were on Bourbon 2 weeks ago whenever we played the Jaguars. I went to the preseason game. And it started to rain when we were in a bar. And so we hung out for a little while on Bourbon and everything. And I was starting to get ready to go home. And finally the rain chilled out. And we're walking down Bourbon. And there's still like rain from the roof kind of coming down. Mm-hmm. And a droplet got in my eye. And all I could, yes, that is exactly the response you should have. I just kept thinking, I was like, it's roof water, but it's bourbon roof water.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know tomorrow what's going to come of this. I don't know. And I remember my friends are like drunk eating pizza and they're like, you'll be fine. I'm like, I know I will, but also will I? I don't know.
Exactly.
Are there dead bodies on the roof? Like it's a serious question you have to ask yourself when you're in New Orleans.
Especially if
but all the
you've
alcohol,
watched 7 seasons of NCIS New Orleans, you know.
Yeah.
The alcohol cleans you, though. It cleanses
There you go.
You know?
Cleansed you from the
all
inside
of that
out.
infection
Cooter.
was just gone. I love it.
So we're going to switch gears a little bit. You know, we're going to ask some questions. During last year's Women of Fantasy Football event, you were under 1,000 followers on Twitter, and you were just the belle of the ball in our comment section. You were Queen Bee. You were killing it. And now you're running Matthew Berry, like the Matthew Berry, the one that Stephania Bell referred to by first name last week, Matthew. You're running his Fantasy Life social media. So you've come a long way in a year. How did that come to be? Like, I know I've wondered it, so I'm sure other people have wondered it. I don't know.
When I tell you every day, I'm like, this can't be real. Like, my husband humbles me. He really does, because he's not into the fantasy world. Like, he's into football and he plays fantasy, but he's not into the fantasy world. Mm-hmm. So whenever I like fangirl a little bit about anything, he's like, who is that? And I'm like, you're right. I need to chill. This isn't that important. So yeah, he keeps me humble. But yeah, I don't know. I'm waiting any day for someone to just be like, okay, this prank is over. It's done.
Like, but no, seriously, how did that come about? Like, I know you are everywhere on Twitter, and you are, like I said earlier, comedic genius. And I know that you caught Matthew's attention because you got the Matthew Berry follow, tweet, and shout out. So did it just stem from that, or? Yeah,
basically. I mean, I didn't know he knew who I was at all. Got the follow.
I saw your Matthew Berry Petite Pod was hilarious.
Yeah,
by the way.
It was like little steps. It was little steps where like people say shoot your shot, right? It got the follow, and I waited a while in the corner. I was like, hold on, don't attack yet. And then I was like, hey, would you do this? And he said yes. And then I'm like, that's insane that he said yes, you know, and then it just went from there. So yeah, I mean, I still don't have answers. I'm very humbled. I'm very thankful, and I'm just having so much fun with it. So.
And I think one of the things that makes Petite Pods and just makes your presence on social media just kind of have this rise, just skyrocketing, is your type of personality and your type of humor is so unique, and it's so funny, and you don't see anybody else doing what you do. Like, where does that come from? Like, do you have, comedians in your family? Is it just kind of your kind of dry but funny personality? Like, what made you think like I need to do this? You know, like how did that go? I
don't know. Honestly, I wasn't even on Twitter until quarantine started. And I don't know if you guys have kids, but Lauren, you do, right? But like,
kids. Thank God they're older.
Yeah. But I mean, like a toddler. And that first part of quarantine, it was definitely like you felt like you were losing a bit of yourself because you were just hunkered down. You were a mom, and that was what you were. And so I kind of started joining Twitter and entering that world. And it was a nice little escape for a while. I didn't think anything would come of it. But yeah, that's really the reason I joined. I was like, I like fantasy, always have. I was always the person in my league that was too into it. You know what I mean? The one that was like, it's months.
Never.
Yeah, I'm the person that was like months ahead of time, like, hey, are you down? Are you committed to the league? And they're like, it's not even time to consider this, you know? So yeah, I was that person, and it was a great outlet. And then my rule for myself, which is probably obvious, is just to have fun. Like, I'm never there for anything but just, if it makes me giggle, I do it, you know, if I have fun with it. And I've met some really great people, you guys included, like just genuine people that I think are nice. And it's a weird world because I'm like, we're strangers, but we're not, you know, like, I don't know. So I don't know. So like the Canton thing, I had FOMO because so many people went. And I'd love to just meet some of you guys in person one day, maybe like we said at a Saints game or something, you know.
Oh, girl, I'm hitting you. Please trust me, because one of my husband's really good friends lives just right outside of New Orleans. So I wanted to interrogate you afterwards and see where you live, because it might be in the same kind of town that he is, because he lived right outside the French Quarter, but then he ended up moving. So we always meet up with him when we go to New Orleans. That was so very awesome. Alexis from Schitt's Creek, wasn't it? That was very like, oh my God, David. David.
Yeah. I love that for you.
I love that for you.
Love that journey for me.
I know. Oh, Faith, help me, because I'm gonna like pull out a Moira here in a minute. No one's gonna like that.
Okay, so Lauren brought up your petite pods earlier. So I'm gonna piggyback on that. Where did that just idea come from? Like, what said to you, you know what, I should do a podcast that's only like less than 5 minutes long. I'm going to ask people a bunch of questions, but then I'm going to like edit them and cut them off and change their words.
So maybe it's a flaw, but if you ask anyone who's in a group chat with me, a lot of what I tweet and say is very impulsive. And it's just something that I said in a group chat and I'm like, hey, that's an idea. And I'll just throw it out, you know? So one time people were just complaining about how they wish they had more time there's so much good content and there's so many people they appreciate that they wish they could watch it all. And it's just so much, you don't have enough hours in the day. I'm like, the literal antithesis of that would be the shortest amount of a podcast. And so I just kind of took that and went with it. So.
Oh, okay. Who did your intro music?
Yes, Herms at Herms NFL. Yes, he is so
hilarious.
Good. Yeah,
it is so catchy. I'm like,
yes.
Like I'm like, oh yay! I'm always so happy when I hear it.
And when I'm telling you, like, no direction, I was just like, hey, I would love to have this if you would do it. And he was like, got it. And the first shot, that was it. And I'm like, this is perfect. Like the vibe, everything. He's so good.
Love it. Okay, Herms at NFL. Got it.
So when can we expect episode 2?
I guess so. That's another impulsive thing. So when it started, when it started, I had sent Jeff, the fantasy engineer, Dave Kluge, and Mike Daddy's Home. I'd sent all of them, hey, here's an idea. Would you be on my podcast if I do this weird 2-minute thing? Mm-hmm. And they all said yes. So I sent them all questions. And then I recorded my answers before I got my questions before I got their answers. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of like hey, this is the first episode with Jeff. Hey, this is the first episode. And I didn't feel like re-recording anything. So I was just like, I'll just go with that. So yeah, it was just literally an accident. I didn't feel like re-recording. So
I love that.
I think that's another thing that gave it a charm and funness because every episode is episode 1.
Not only that, but you feel really special. You feel really special when you're like episode 1.
First,
you know what I mean?
I know. But we've had a lull because I'm just lazy in this moment. I have work and life.
You just had a hurricane come through your state, girl.
But even,
you're okay.
But even before that.
And you were on vacation before that. Right? You need to take a vacation. Right.
But we do have another episode coming, and it's going to be with Jake. So we got that coming through. I don't know if that's going to be season 2, episode 1. You know what I mean?
Is Jake going to sing?
Oh, I don't know. I can't reveal anything. But when I tell you, like, he is just, I put him at the tippy top. Like, he's at the tippy top. He's one of the best. Love Jake.
He's such a good
person. He was a delight to meet in Canton. Let me tell you.
Okay, FOMO alert. All right.
What's up, Gemmo?
Hi, Gemmo. Yeah. Jake, so funny story about Jake.
Sweet baby girl.
Jake is a modern
Michael Bolton. Okay.
So I first met Jake on Friday night at the hotel bar. We said hello, hi, talked, whatever, did our thing. And then Saturday night comes around at the outdoor party thing. Hey, it's Little Doodle.
Little Doodle. Little Doodle.
What's her name? Little Doodle. So I do this thing where if I tend to just be sarcastic in person and in conversation.
Hey, kiddo.
I can hear you.
Sorry, I got child distracted, you know. And so I walked by Jake and he was like, there was like no room for me to move. And so I kind of just did this so I could walk by him and he got like fake offended.
Oh, you did like in the face?
Like, well, I did this. And, like, I couldn't, it wasn't in his face because he's taller than me. So it was just like, and so he got like offended because I ignored him. And so then every time I saw him, I was like, Jake, your outfit today is on point. And he was all like,
so I heard Keith at the bar was on point, right? That's the rumor.
The bartender?
Yeah.
there were bartenders. Well, I think they grossly underestimated how many people were going to hang out at the bar because Kate was like so annoyed because she's like, this bartender is just terrible. No, sorry. Michelle said the bartender's terrible. Kate loved the bartender because the bartender loved Kate.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that's the right one. You might want to switch those up.
I love how everyone in the chat is like, Keith, I love Keith.
Yeah, they were actually they were on last year with Women of Fantasy Football.
That's right.
And they were on again this year as well. They're two of my favorite ladies. They really kind of helped me, propel me forward and just, keep doing what you're doing, Lauren, super duper supportive. This is Kate and Michelle Magdzuik, the BallBlast girls, the one and only pair, because there's two of them. Super awesome women in the industry. They are no holds bar. But I once asked them in this Women of Fantasy Football, which I will again ask you, but I think I know the answer, is I asked, if you were an animal, what would it be? And they were flummoxed. They didn't know. And I was like, no, Michelle, you are a bear, and Kate is like a beautiful fawn deer. Like those are your two personalities, like right there. So I'm going to impromptu you one. If you were an animal, Cooter Doodle, what animal would you be?
Oh my, that is very impromptu. Is this like some Freudian like exercise where you learn about
No, this
me
is
after
not your
I say
spirit
it?
animal. We're not putting this on your totem. You don't have to go through a spirit journey. Just
because my spirit animal is Tina Belcher.
Yes,
but I don't know. My gut is to say an elephant, but I don't know why. I think because they take things slowly,
They're
and
very
they're smart.
wise.
Yeah.
Did you know they are called the ghosts of the jungle? They make very little sound for their amount of size and how big they are. They can just cause massive amounts of destruction, or they can like tiptoe through things without even leaving a trace. They are some of the smartest creatures. And they're like kind of revered in the animal kingdom. So an elephant is a wonderful choice. I like
can
that.
I
also an elephant
what
never
is yours?
forgets.
There you go.
I don't know what mine is. I think mine would be some sort of cat, I feel.
A cat,
like.
Yeah,
I don't really know. Or a fox. Why? I don't know.
I mean, they're kind of related, maybe, right?
Right? I don't know. But canine, feline, I'm not really quite sure which one I would go with. Why don't you guys in the comments let you know, if I were an animal, what would my animal be? Because I don't
know what I would be either.
I don't know what you would be either. You're definitely a cat. Actually, probably because I can hear your cat. So that's why I'm calling you a cat. But I'm going to jump in. I'm going to ask another question real quick here. I know I'm stepping on Faith's toes here right now, but a quick question, because one of the things that you are good at, like we've been talking about, is your pet peeves, your petite pods, your social media presence. So one of the questions I love to ask, because I always love to hear the answers to this. On social media, it can be any social media. What is your biggest pet peeve that you see on social media that you're just like, why? It could be anything serious, or it could be something more humorous. Like we had Linda, she said choreographed dances was one of her biggest pet peeves on social media. So what is your biggest pet peeve that when you see it on social media, you're like, oh no?
That's a good question. I feel like I need to unpack it. You can eat it on the couch. Go. You can eat it. Yep.
Yes.
So I'm gonna have chocolate on my couch. I was like, yes, you got that. I'm trusting you. I'm trusting you with this.
M&M, let's go.
Honestly, if I had to be like, if I'm being unfiltered and honest, I think my genuine answer would be gut reactions. I think that text is very difficult to read, sarcasm to read, different perspectives. And so it's easy to read something and have a gut reaction. I'm sure I've done it. I'm not perfect. But rather than, maybe jump into something and having a gut reaction, just taking perspective or just ignoring it, moving past it, That's my perspective. I don't know. I like to rather keep things nice and fun and move along.
Yeah, the gut reaction, the knee-jerk response to stuff. Yeah, I hear you on that one too. Yeah, I like that one. You can just say anything from Cam Newton is what that comment was right there.
Wow.
So yeah, go ahead, Faith, because I want to ask one right after this too.
Cam Newton, we're just bye. That's all I have to say to that one as a Patriots fan. Bye. So speaking of FOMO, I have been seeing this all over Twitter, and I know Mike, who was in the chat earlier, is part of it. I know a lot of people are part of it. You started a charity league called Weenus Together.
We in this together, we in this together.
No, I got it. It's just really fun to say. Weenus Together. So
Her last name is Enes. So is it?
Listen.
We in this together. We in this together.
Weenus Together. So how did that come about? What made you decide to start a league? Who is the charity? And why that name?
Okay, so you know how there's always something, maybe catalyst, where there's a big moment in our community. There was something last year. I don't remember specifically what it was, but ironically enough, I think it was negative towards women. And I just made a little post just to lighten the mood. I use humor literally all the time to cope, right? I don't know if you've noticed that. And so I said something. At the end of the day, we in this together. We in this together. And people thought it was funny, I guess, because weenus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, my friend and It's Just Ego and I were talking about how we just would love to do a charity league and do something to kind of give back, because we're so obsessed with fantasy, but like more than just that, to give back. And so it kind of just evolved from there. We said, let's do it. We did it. We had way more people sign up than we thought would. And so we kind of kept it low key this year with 4 divisions, but next year we're hoping to kind of double or triple that so everyone can be in it, and the scoring is absolutely insane. People are asking all the time, like, so it's 6 points, negative points for an interception. And I'm like, no, that's positive points. You get bonuses if they throw an interception. And they're like, no, but if you click on the question mark on Sleeper, it says negative. I'm like, yeah, but they didn't intend that we would be in charge. It's positive bonus points. And so there's a lot of back and forth in the chat, and people are
this is crazy. Jameis went 101.
Oh, Jameis went 101. Who else? Derek Carr in another division went 101. Russell Wilson went 101, because you get sacks, interceptions, and incompletions, but you still get the good points, right? So if they're a good quarterback.
Jared Goff? I mean, like.
Well.
Are there any negative points?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
This is the greatest thing I've ever heard of.
100%.
You have to
just
post
unpredictable.
Like,
you can't. And you can't, like, what we kind of were aiming for was obviously charity for fun, and like just flip projections on themselves. Oh, yeah. So there's no way you can go in and really know what you're doing. Which
ADP don't mean a thing.
Yeah, so it's part of the fun, because there's some divisions right now who are like round 4 haven't drafted 1 quarterback, and there's other ones who round 2 have drafted 12. It's just like, it's crazy. No one knows what to do. It's a beautiful thing. And you won't believe who drafted the first kicker of the day, the only kicker of the day. Lindellians.
Shocking.
Yeah. Right. And so she's going to kick us all. She knows what she's doing. So I'm sure it was the smartest decision of the day.
She posted a tweet about, who was it? Mecole Hardman being a kicker 17.
Yeah.
Average 8 points per game.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, she knows some stuff. She's a kicker guru. So if she's taken, I think it was Butker at the 201, I'm trusting it. So not to give away anything to the other divisions if you're listening, but
Maybe there was a little tip in there for you. Cooter, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for all of this.
Thank y'all for having me. This was fun. And I want to see you guys
together.
I want to see you guys in the Dome and Championship Square someday, somehow. Okay.
Yes.
We will
holding you
make
to
this happen.
it.
You don't understand. Like, I think I was like in old world New Orleans in a previous life. Like, when I go to the French Quarter, I'm like, I know this place. Like, I know I lived there. Like, when you
That's how I feel about New York City.
It's another world when you go into the French Quarter and you're all up in that stuff.
Time is different.
It is so weird. It's like, you're not even lying. And that's one of the reasons I absolutely love that city so much. Much prayers for everybody that is dealing with this.
Yes.
Especially the city of New Orleans did not need anything else like this to add on top of the
On the
absolute
16th
SHIT.
anniversary.
Unto
Yeah,
today.
that was very eerie too. That was
Eerie,
strange,
but
yeah.
I feel like that's just the mojo of that city. You know what I mean? It is so ultra magical. It's a beautiful city. The people in Louisiana are incredibly resilient. So thoughts and prayers, and then you are going to tweet out Cooter Doodle.
Yes,
how
after
we
I get
can
off
help
of here. Yep, if you follow me after this,
Awesome.
I'll go retweet that. Yeah.
Speaking
Perfect.
of,
I'm gonna say
Sorry.
goodbye right now because my dogs are barking and my husband is sick and trying to sleep. So I'm gonna go yell at them really quick, and I
It's
don't want
good
to be
seeing you, Lauren.
embarrassing. I love you, Cooter. Mwah.
Lauren will be back, everybody. Like she said, she's just gonna go yell at her dogs. But Cooter, before we get to our raffle, you know what? I was gonna come up with some fun name to say it, but I'm just gonna call it our raffle giveaway. Let everybody know where they can find you, and that includes personally and professionally.
Yeah, I don't know if you can consider me professional, but you can find me at Cooter Doodle on Twitter, and you can find me at MB Fantasy Life on Twitter and Instagram socials.
Also, because I've wondered this forever, Cooter Doodle. Like,
It
what is
was an Xbox gamer tag. I had a cat named Snickerdoodle, and Forgetting Sarah Marshall had just come out, and she said Cooter. I'm like, that's funny. And I didn't want a name that had numbers. That's really as deep as it goes.
Also, if you've never watched Cooter Doodle's stream video games, especially slightly eerie ones that she's never played before, it's hilarious in and of itself. Also, I've had the privilege of playing some Jackbox games.
Yes, we need to do that again soon. Yes.
With a handful of people in the fantasy industry, and it was so much fun, and I dominated. None.
You did. I do remember. But yeah, we need to do that again soon. That was fun.
We do. So thank you for joining us at this point in our event. I would like to invite Josh back with us. Josh.
Where are you?
Hello, ladies. Cooter, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And as I previously mentioned to you, I'm going to need you to announce who's taking Daddy home.
Oh, did you DM me who it is?
No, we haven't spun yet.
The wheel live.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah. Will she be able to see it? Because when you share your screen, it's really small for us.
Okay, well, we're just going to do this
really quick. It'll work.
There you go. Let's see. All right.
Yeah, definitely.
The Suicide Squad.
I definitely have glasses and not the eyeballs for this, but you know what? We'll see what happens.
Well, once it literally lands, you'll just see it in big bold letters.
There we go.
And it'll tell you who won. So.
And more than likely, I will mispronounce it, but that's okay.
Well, that's okay. So, Josh
Fingers
Allen,
crossed for you, Victoria.
Signed jersey.
Whoever gets this is just beautiful.
I see Josh Jacobs again and Dennis Roy.
Yep. Okay. 2-time winners. Both of them.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. All right. Everybody, for the signed Josh Allen jersey.
Good
drum roll.
May the odds be ever in your favor.
I see Linda's name in there too. Oh my God.
Who is it?
Get out.
Shut up.
Dennis Roy.
Oh my gosh.
Did he win last time?
He's won the last 2 weeks.
Oh, that's funny. This is rigged. Collusion.
He bought 20 tickets this time around specifically for the Josh Allen.
Well, you know what? You got to pay the price to get Daddy. You got to pay the price. So that's what he gets.
Wow.
That is wow. Okay. All right. Next
That's
up,
awesome. Congratulations. I'm jealous. Wear it proudly.
Or display it proudly, one or the other.
Yeah. Probably display it. Maybe don't wear it.
Be proud of it. Proudly.
Okay. For the signed Lamar Jackson Ravens jersey.
QB1? 101? 102?
We're going to see. Let's see. Who's getting Lamar Jackson?
I see a lot of Sams. I see a lot of Kellys right there. Who's it going to be?
Hey, I don't have to
Christian Willie Cruz. There you go.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is awesome.
Is he home?
Well, there you
Josh?
go. You don't have to pay
Very
shipping.
cool. I love it. It's a beautiful.
Is he home?
I think he's next door, actually, at our neighbor's house. So,
Oh, you should text him.
He bought 4 tickets. It was one for him, and then one each for our neighbors. So that's what the number designations are for, and he has all the numbers figured out who wins.
Oh,
what
gotcha.
based
So
on
it
the
may or
number,
may not
so-
be him.
No, I think he was one. So it's
Oh.
actually one of the neighbors that won it. But still, I don't have to ship
funny.
it. So.
Yeah.
And
just
then
walk it over.
Mr. Roy, go get a lottery ticket because your luck's it's through
Right?
the roof
We've
right
had
now.
that the last
so.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, and then the first 2 weeks, Josh
He
Jacobs
won the Devontae Adams jersey. He won the Jonathan Taylor jersey, and now the
Mhm.
Josh Allen jersey. But to be fair, he has donated $200 throughout
Yeah.
the last 4 weeks. So
Shout out to him. Shout out.
shout out to Dennis. Honest to God, I'm blown away by how much we've raised so far, which I will officially announce at the end of the show. And everybody that has come on to the show, Cooter being one of them. And thank you so much for all the help putting together the videos. They've been absolutely fantastic. So much fun.
Yeah,
and
I told
I'm so
Josh.
mad at Instagram because for the last 2, they have not let me post on Instagram, and it's annoying
really?
me. So
Oh.
yeah,
Why?
if I knew anything about Instagram, I'd probably post a lot more. So
I told Josh that the last one I had to film, I had to make sure no one was home because I was just opening doors, Dad. And I was like, how do you explain that? I was
Especially
I have to wait till everyone. Yeah, what am I doing?
You should have had her walk around the house calling for daddy.
Good point. But then that would be confusing. But you're right. That would have been
It would
nice.
have been funny though.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank y'all for having me on. I don't know. I think I'm getting kicked, right? I boot myself. I'm out. Right?
if you want to keep going, you're more than welcome.
No. I don't
Is
know
our
what the
other
rules
guest here
are.
yet, Josh?
I don't know what the rules
Lauren
are.
is back.
Lauren's
Lauren!
back.
I made it. Crisis averted.
Did you yell at the dogs?
Well, they had to go outside. My
Oh.
husband is in bed. The poor thing is not well. So don't worry, it's not COVID. So that was the situation. And then my cat decided to attack.
O'Reilly cat.
O'Reilly cat. So my cat outweighs both my dogs combined. I have 2 very
He
small
does.
Pomeranians, and my cat is
Her cat
about
is a
14
giant.
pounds. He's huge.
I love him.
Yeah, so it was a situation, and then there was barking, and then there was semi-fighting, and I was like, no, now's not the time, and they didn't care.
Well,
No.
Lauren, I just want you to know before I leave, while you were gone, they displayed a lot of collusion in this, and I'm just very upset with the way that they hand cherry-picked all of these winners these last few weeks. It's very upsetting.
I know,
Very
Josh,
good.
Josh
Roy
Jacobs.
won again, Lauren. No, it was Dennis M. Roy who
Are you
won.
serious?
I'm very serious. He won Josh Allen.
What is wrong with this thing that you're, Josh?
I'm gonna have to find a new system next year because
That's
I
pretty
mean,
insane. But
it's
the
just,
last time we
it's
found
just one
this
of those
out,
things. It's just one of those things where I don't want to dissuade people from donating, and he's like I mentioned before, he's donated $200 over the last 4
and
weeks.
look, hey, more raffles, more chances. So that's how
that
you
is
do it.
true. That is true. Because I felt like a horrible human being because Joshua Jacobs won twice.
Oh my
And I was
gosh,
like,
yeah.
with
We
Liz
both did,
Loza
Lauren.
when she
We were
was on
together.
with us. And I was like, rah, no, that can't happen. And so then later, this Josh, not Joshua Jacobs, was
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, well, he's a veteran and he's actually using these to donate. And I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm a horrible human being now. Thank you so much.
He couldn't-
Sorry,
he couldn't,
sorry,
like,
Mr.
put that in the
Jacobs.
I didn't
private
try
chat.
to purposely make it.
Could have dropped it in the private chat. Could have said, "Oh, hey, by the way," but no. He literally waited until the very end of the episode to
Yeah.
say,
Look,
"Oh yeah, hey, by the way, Josh Jacobs is a veteran
I
and he's
had to
donating
set
these
the
to other
record
veterans."
straight.
And
He
we
was
were like,
trying to
"Oh,
get
just
he was
okay."
trying to get all the clips, the audio clips of her just trashing Josh Jacobs. He wanted to get it
Literally. Yeah.
for the future,
I mean, I can give you trash. I can trash talk Josh Jacobs, just not that Josh Jacobs.
Joshua Jacobs, blame it on Joshua Hudson.
Mm.
Lauren and I love you for what you're doing.
It's the
It's fantastic.
Joshuas. It's the Joshuas. Yes. Congratulations, Joshua Jacobs and Dennis M. Roy. Did I get it right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Awesome. Did I miss it?
all
Who
right, I'm
else
gonna
won
bounce
besides
out.
Dennis?
His roommate.
No.
His roommate
but-
won the other. Right?
Okay.
Is that what
Yeah,
you
my
said?
roommate-
Neighbor?
yeah, my
Roommate?
roommate
Either,
won the
we
Lamar
think it's
Jackson
the
one, yeah.
neighbors. One of the neighbors, Lauren. One of Josh's neighbors.
Oh, okay. Why did my husband win then if there's collusion?
There's not collusion, I promise.
What do I do
I would
this
never
for?
do such a thing.
Forever unclean. Forever
I'm
unclean.
stepping out so that you guys can now just bash me on air, apparently. But
Oh,
that's
honey,
fine.
we don't need you to be gone to do that.
Sure don't.
Thank you to
Were you
everyone
not-
that's donated.
were you
I
not
will
here
have the
last
final
year?
tally updated
So,
at the
so
end.
Cooter Doodle, next time that you're ever, or if you ever want to plan a trip to Florida, please
Yes.
feel free to hit us up because we're on each side of the coast and we
Mhm.
can either meet in the middle or go one way or the
That
other.
sounds perfect.
Because
that sounds perfect.
yes, we have this thing going where we travel and we hang out.
Yes.
It's
We'll
if
make
you
it.
haven't-
Look, we'll make it a goal before 2023, right? We'll make it a goal.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you have like noise canceling earmuffs or headphones with which you can wear while you're around Josh Hudson? Because I know
Oh, it gets loud?
no,
Oh my
no, you
God.
can't. Like
Good.
his resting normal voice is like Spinal Tap taken to
Obnoxious.
11.
Yes.
It is so loud, and it's like, oh my! And I live in a very actually by 2023, Faith, I may be living in a different house, which would be
Oh,
super nice.
wow. Well, there
And
you
then
go.
we can just
apparently we need to have
relegate him somewhere else.
conversation.
Yeah, but just make sure you come prepared for this. I need like a
Yeah.
golf sign that says "quiet, please."
That sounds
That's-
perfect. I'm ready.
Or
That's
Cooter,
so
the
loud.
other way that we have discovered that we handle it is to just drink excessively.
Oh, then it gets worse, and then he just stops caring until
No,
Faith
no.
yells at him
He
through
doesn't-
the window, and I think it's my neighbor yelling at me, and then I'm like, "Oh my god, I have to go apologize," which I did the next day, and she's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about."
So we need to
Oh.
get Josh onto bourbon because he'll
sorry.
fit right in. Yeah.
It'll be perfect. It'll be absolutely perfect. And then you can actually hear him because all you have to do is say like text him and be like, "Josh, where are you?" Yell, and then you can hear him above everything, and you're like, "Oh, there he is." It's like
We
find my
need
iPhone.
him in the dome then. We need him in the dome.
I know, right? It's find Josh
So-
Hudson. Bling bling.
I was staying in the guest room at the back of the house, and there's a window that opens, and Josh and they were on the back porch, which is like you open the window, it's like right there. So I was going to bed. And I say at night, but it's legitimately at least 4:00 in the morning. Like we never
It was
went
not
to
4
bed.
o'clock in the morning. It was 2.
Friday night when we went to bed, it was 4 a.m., Lauren. Yeah. So when I say we went to bed at night, I mean it was late.
It was dark, but it wasn't nighttime.
It was early morning. So
You know.
Josh is drunk at this point and now being loud. And so I open the window and I'm like, shh. And I close the window and you just see them go. Lauren
I
goes, "Oh my
literally
God,
thought it was my
yelling at us."
neighbor yelling over the fence.
Oh, that's great.
It was a situation. It was a situation. I think little Doodle is demanding
Attention.
I
to be
think we're
involved in this conversation.
Yeah. So the last time, excuse me, I had a Zoom meeting for work. I was, talking with somebody important, and I told her she was cutting some.
We're not important, Lauren.
No, like business. You know what I mean?
You be quiet, young lady.
This is fun. That was just a meeting, it was
Yeah.
just work. And I trusted her with some scissors and construction paper, and she was just doing shapes and whatever. Or no, I'm lying to you. I didn't know she had the scissors. She had colors. And my meeting ends and just the proudest face. And she goes, "Mommy, look what I did." And so I go look at the table and there was just hair all over the table. And I tried not to react. I'm like, "Where'd you get the scissors?" And she's like, "Daddy left them in my crayon box." And I was like, "Oh man." So she has some nice, beautiful bangs cut by herself.
Nice.
You know, I feel like every child had those at some point. Like if you didn't,
Okay,
Look,
I
she
had
didn't
one.
do like the embarrassing. They're like perfect. They're just right here.
Wow.
Get it, girl.
Just
Okay.
enough. Had
No, I
I
did
been in
one.
that meeting 5 more minutes, it would have been the little chippy chops, you know?
Right there. Right there. My niece just had one of those. I also did one of those in kindergarten. I got a sticker. My mom, it was picture day, kindergarten. And my mom put these perfect pigtails in, and it was super cute. I had really long hair, shocking. And like super duper long hair. And I was all ready in my cute little outfit. And then she was getting ready and I was super bored. So I started playing with stuff and I got a sticker stuck in my hair and no one was around to fix it. And I was like, "Oh my God, we're going to be late because I cut it out by cutting the entire pigtail off." So one was up here and the other one was down here. My mom gets done getting ready for work to take me to school. She's like, "What?" Oh my God. It was, yeah. So she ended up like combing over the back of my hair, so you couldn't see the part that was perfect, to like wrap it around this side, so it kind of looked like they were the same size.
Don't you love child logic though? Like, I'll just
It
cut
is.
it out. I'll just cut it out of here.
I knew I couldn't cut it off, but I didn't have the dexterity to just cut the scissors off. You know, like, I'm sorry, cut the sticker off with the scissors.
Yeah.
Yeah, just cut that little bit out like sideways. I tried, but it just went whoop, and I was like, oh.
That's hilarious. If y'all could hear, she is going through a debate. She's like, I got these M&Ms, but I can eat both of them. Just open both of them right now. And it's gonna be fine, Mom. It's gonna be fine.
It's flawless logic.
So the question is, ask Little Doodle what her favorite candy is. This is a serious question.
Yes.
They want to know, what's your favorite candy? What's your favorite candy?
M&M's.
Oh, get it. Peanut or like milk?
Well, I think it's just because that's the one she has right now. We're very short-sighted.
You know what? I feel that. Whatever's in my hand is my favorite.
But what I will say, she was rooting for the Bucks last season. Very frustrating to live with. But I'm proud of her. She picked the Super Bowl winner from the beginning. So.
Dang.
Anyways.
Smart girl. Anyway, Cooter, thank you so much for joining us. Thank Little Doodle for gracing us with her presence and her humor. Oh, ask her who's going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Oh, she's already left. She's long gone. She's back to Raya.
She's got M&M's. She's gone.
Yeah, she's gone. But thank y'all for having me, though.
Tweet it out later.
Yes, ask her who's going to win and tweet it out later.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you.
See y'all later.
Lauren.
Yes, Queen.
In a delightful yet sad turn of events, our final guest for Women of Fantasy Football 2021 is here to join us. Ladies and gentlemen, from The Athletic and a neuroscientist, Miss Renee Miller.
Renee.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Really good. Thank you. That is sad that I'm your last guest, but I chose that slot, so.
We love it.
Your last week, you are ending us on a intriguing note. I mean, yes. I'm looking forward because what you have done with fantasy football and neuroscience and brains, that's way over my head, but really interesting to me.
And what I can say that I am proud of, because I can say that I am a colleague of a neuroscientist. Because I am actually a freelance writer for NBC Sports Edge. So I can buy some very strange 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I work with Renee. You know, like she's yeah, I work with Renee. But yeah, that is absolutely super cool. Faith, I want to let you kick this off because I don't even know how to spell neuroscientist.
E before you.
There's that. Thank you. I always forget that. E before you. That is exactly what I need you in my life, Renee. I need you. Can you be my life coach?
Write it out, Lauren.
100%.
If you put you before E, it'll look weird. I promise.
That does look weird. That does look really weird.
So, Renee, thank you so much for joining us. Did you grow up in like a sports household? Like, what got you started playing fantasy football?
I grew up with divorced parents, and I had a mom who was a basketball fan and a dad who was a golf and football fan. So I did get a lot of sports influence from my family growing up. We actually, one of my earliest memories is having a litter of kittens and naming them all after basketball players. I don't remember which basketball players they were, but I know that my mom insisted that we name them all after basketball players.
You're talking to two cat people right here, so I feel that.
Yeah.
Great. I also have dogs, so everyone who like despises cats, don't hate me. I have both too. There's a puppy behind. I can't make myself out of the way. We'll see. Is it a corgi?
No, it's a yellow lab.
It looks like a yellow lab.
And literally 2 weeks ago,
you know, corgi lab, same thing.
We just got 2 new kittens. So we are full of
joy,
furry animals, and joy,
joy,
and pet hair,
and pet hair. But
So I asked this question
Yeah.
of Stephania Bell last week and of Laura Okmin because they had dogs and we talked about their dogs. What is your dog's name?
Cody.
Cody. That's a good name. It's a good solid name for a lab.
Yeah. We didn't name him after any athletes, but we try to root for any of the Codys out there.
You know what?
Cody Bellinger. They run out pretty quick.
Yeah, I have a pet named after an athlete. I am from St. Louis, and I am an avid baseball fan, Cardinals fan. I'm an avid hockey fan. I am a fantasy football analyst, but my cat is my boo, and he's named after my favorite hockey player for the St. Louis Blues, Ryan O'Reilly. So his name is O'Reilly. So I
that's cute.
firmly understand this connection with sports and naming your kittens as you were a youth. After sports people, it's fun. And he's actually quite embodied the MVP of the of the Stanley Cup champion.
Got some swagger.
He also likes to check his dog brothers.
Yeah,
if you understand hockey.
Mine are still getting used to each other. They're still a little tentative around each other.
So Chewy, my oldest, is about 17 years old. He's blind and deaf, so he doesn't care about anything. He just thinks that the world is his oyster, which is super awesome. My other one is 4. He's kind of a spaz, but my cat outweighs both of them combined. So my cat is 14 pounds. He outweighs them by 4 pounds. Yes, my cat is large. Cool. He's a feral stray that we rescued, and you'd never know it because he is quite comfy. He's
living high on the hog.
He's adapted to home life.
He has quite well. But he's an outdoor cat. He stays out at night. When he comes back in during the day, he's sleeping with Chewy, my oldest, or he's playing with Jack, the youngest. But he always has to have his eyeballs out. But if there's a situation, the dogs will try to attack the cat, like not in a playful way, not in a mean way. But O'Reilly's just so big. He's kind of like, really? No. No.
Think twice.
And then he like bats him upside the head. No claws because he understands that could hurt him. But yeah, it's a boxing match between the three of them. They don't know they're different species.
No.
Yeah. Well, I hope we get there.
Yeah, you will.
I'm sure you will. Time and it's time.
Cuddles will happen.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. Yeah, it does just take a little bit of mingling because then they just forget that there are two different species. Faith, do you want to hop in on the first neuroscience-y question, or would you like me to?
I mean, I can take it. So you grew up in a sports household, and all of that stuff. What made you connect the two to say, okay, I like this, I play this, I do this, but then I know this, I study this, people's brains are weird. What made you say, hey, let me look at how the two interact?
Yeah. It's kind of surprising it didn't happen sooner, but it took until I was a member of the faculty at the University of Rochester, and I was teaching my first class in my first semester, and it was a fall semester, and it was approaching December and approaching the fantasy football playoffs, and I was teaching about cognitive biases, something that I really had never thought about. I was co-teaching this class, and that's just the part that fell to me to teach. So I was like, all right, I better learn about this so I could teach it. And I was thinking all about, it's basically about how your brain can trick you into making faulty decisions. And there's all these different sort of names of biases and different patterns that we can fall into. And I immediately thought of, all the decisions I make as a fantasy football player and manager, and how I'm probably doing them all wrong based on what I'm now learning about cognitive biases. And then it occurred to me, so I taught the class, and then I was like, well, it's sort of my job to know this stuff. Maybe if I'm not aware of biases in my decision-making, then nobody else is either. So I started kind of researching them a little bit more and really trying to apply them to specific aspects of fantasy football, like in the draft or in the waiver wire and other aspects of the game, and ended up writing the book.
That is absolutely fascinating to me. I don't know if you noticed, but I sat up in my chair. I needed my notebook. I was about to start taking notes. Yeah, because we talk a lot in fantasy football about recency bias, and that's kind of a buzzy word. But there are many other things that go into what triggers your mind into thinking good, bad, and that. So you'd never think like, oh, I'm a fantasy football neuroscientist, which is actually genius when you think about it. I have a degree, I have a Bachelor of Journalism, but my major and my focus in the Bachelor of Journalism sequence was basically consumer behavior and advertising. So it's kind of it's nowhere near your level of neuroscience, but kind of the same thing is like what makes people react, what makes people think, what pulls those triggers to make someone make a decision over something else, which is kind of a parallel too. But I have not written a book.
Yeah.
Which you
maybe
have.
someday.
Maybe, trust me, that is actually on my bucket list, but it's not going to be about smart stuff. It's going to be a silly fantasy novel. That's what I do. Yeah, I won't do serious stuff. Don't do it. So
I'll tell you, I mostly wrote that book for myself. So it was a bucket list thing for me too. And people are like, when's the follow-up? And I was like, oh no, I did it once. And I checked it off my list and I felt great about it. And it was awesome, but I'm not interested in doing it every year.
So tell us more about your book. Like, tell us, I mean, first of all, name, where we can get it, I mean, obviously we know how it came about, but like what came into it? Because this is, I know I'm trying to write a book, but it's more just turning into my journal at this point. But it's hard. It is really hard
to organize it.
It's so hard.
So I separated it out into chapters according to bias, like these named biases. You mentioned recency bias. There's primacy bias. There's endowment effect. There's a whole bunch of them. Outcome bias, attribution bias, on and on. So, and then I tried to pick out some fantasy football experiences that supported those biases, or where I felt I was being hindered by those kinds of biases. And so it's a mixture of like real life examples where people have biased decisions, like in investing or buying a car or even picking a mate. So it's a mix of real life examples people can relate to, and then how could they apply to fantasy football? And it's super outdated now. The examples are all from, I think, 2013. There's a memorable Tim Tebow bit in there. Any new fantasy players will any new fantasy players will be like, who are these people? But it's called Cognitive Bias in Fantasy Sports. Is your brain sabotaging your team? And it's found on Gumroad. So there's a link in my Twitter bio.
It's also on Amazon.
Oh, it is also on Amazon. Yeah.
You can buy it for your Kindle and read it.
Yes, it's all electronic.
Or wherever.
And it's short. It's short and accessible, I think.
You know what? Short and accessible is my kind of
selling
reading.
Points.
Don't get me wrong. I love a good novel, but for some reason, when it comes to stuff, so I was always a history and grammar person. I was never a math and science person. So you just lose me. So when it's short and to the point is my kind of science book.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and I think it's relatable when it's something that you do and you can see in yourself, and it makes the science a little bit more accessible when you're like, oh, my brain does do that. I recognize it.
So your book, you wrote on cognitive bias, but then you wrote an article for The Athletic about the 3 elements of cognitive science, including cognitive bias. And then valuation and game theory. Can you expand on that a little? Like, what does all of that mean?
So the cognitive biases are the short circuits or the shortcuts that our brain takes to make a decision that might not be based on logic or rational facts, but rather feels comfortable, or there's some other reason why we arrive at that conclusion. It's usually a shortcut that doesn't involve a lot of like making lists of pros and cons and evaluating possible outcomes. So those are cognitive biases. And valuation, something that I'm sort of revisiting this year with The Athletic. I've written a couple articles about undervalued players for the preseason, and something I'd like to consider as we go into the regular season is we are terrible at valuations. We just don't do a good job at it. We don't really know how to value things independently and like in isolation. We rely so much on other people to support what is valuable, which is, bound to happen, I think, in cohesive society. but also means that independently, when we're on our own making decisions, we're probably not very good at it. So that's really interesting since so much of what we do in fantasy football depends on valuations. And also,
I feel like you're reading my mind because I'm terrible at all of this.
Even if you feel like you're pretty good at it, it's totally subjective. We could both feel like we're pretty good at making valuations and totally disagree on, what is the best song of all time, or, what outfit is the better look. So, obviously we could also disagree on quarterbacks or tight ends. So not only are we not very good at it, but it's totally subjective, and different people will have different reasons to value things different ways. And even in fantasy, when we have our, ADP is the classic value fallback, that tells us how we should value things, we probably disagree on whether the group think is correct on that. And that's, I think, what makes the game fun, but also maybe where we could try to find edges to do better and win more.
I like that. Now, was there a part about game theory in that article as well?
Yeah. So game theory is the third part, and it's really the cognitive part and the valuation part and the decision making. I'm doing that on my own for myself, trying to make the best choices possible. But in fantasy, you don't have to necessarily make the best choice possible. You have to make a better choice than your opponent, right? You have to make a sum of better decisions than your opponent. So it's not just about doing your best, it's about doing better than someone else. And that requires you to know what they're doing and why. So game theory is really about understanding your opponent and strategizing to outplay them rather than, just make the best possible decision. And sometimes those things are aligned, but not always.
So sabotage against your opponent would fall under this, because I have been known to do this in my home league where
Lauren, no.
Absolutely. And they'll come to me and they'll ask me questions about who to start. I'm like, I'm playing you this week. Why would I answer this question? So for the first few years I actually did, and I helped out. And I'm like, what am I doing? And so now now they don't know if I'm telling the truth or if I'm lying, and I get them all in a kerfuffle. So
that's good. That's what you want to do.
Opponent, endorsed by a
outwitting. Yeah, I did the same thing to my son. My son joined our family league, and I helped him draft, and I helped him, and he won. And I was like, well, never again.
I know. That actually happened to me in a league.
Literally the best team I ever drafted.
Exactly. Why does it happen to the people we help?
I know.
No, it's awful. It's awful. Okay, Faith, I'm going to give this one to you to ask her, because I really want to hear the answer to this one, because we had Liz Loza on from Yahoo Fantasy. So, Faith, I'm going to kick this question over to you.
I feel like I've asked them all, Lauren.
Okay.
To add even more to your writing profile, like you need it anymore. In 2019, you won the FSWA, which is the Fantasy Sports Writers Association Award for the best ongoing football series. 2 weeks ago, Lauren and I talked with our friend Liz Loza of Yahoo Sports, and she talked about what it meant for her to be nominated for the award last year. Can you tell us about this series? Tell us how that came about, and what did it mean for you to actually win that award?
It's still a little surreal. I do all of the work that I do in the fantasy world basically for myself. Like, I'm a teacher and I'm doing all the research anyway, so it just kind of makes sense for me to expose my process, I guess. So if other people can benefit from what I'm working on and learning, I think that's great. But I try to not think about that part. I was just talking to someone recently about The Athletic, and I mean, I think they've done a fantastic job with their content there, and the commenters, the readers are fantastic. And they made the mistake, or maybe to them it's not a mistake, but they sent us like a summary of how many views our off-season evergreen articles were getting between the Christmas and New Year's holiday. And it was like 55,000 or something. And I was like, oh my God, I never think about how many people read my articles. or like what the reach is. Cause it's really for me. I do it, I submit it, and then I'm like, I'll interact with the commenters and stuff, but it's just for me. So getting that recognition from the industry was really kind of humbling and surprising. And it's not something I was like going after and looking out for. So I was honored, of course, and surprised and thrilled, and it was really nice.
I can't even imagine, especially something you didn't even try for. It was just you sharing your work for yourself with the people. I mean, that.
Yeah. Well, the managers there, the editors at The Athletic are really good promoters of everybody's work. So they are like making those nominations, really trying to support the advancement of all the freelance writers and the staff writers that work there, which is a wonderful environment. It's nice to, be built up like that, I guess, by your editors. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question, Renee, that I ask all of our guests that come on, because I find the answers, I should say, to this question very fascinating. So you can answer this in a humorous way. You can answer it in a philosophical, serious way. But when it comes to social media, so we're talking like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, what is your one pet peeve? Like when you see it on social media, you're like, no, like I can't with this. What are you doing? So we had someone answer like choreographed dances were just no bueno. Someone else was talking about like Twitter hate, against women and things like that. So it can be serious. It can be humorous. Just kind of one of those things. It's very interesting just to see what just drives people nuts when they see this on social media and what it is.
Oh, I know it when I see it. I know that, but yeah. I'm also kind of a ruthless. Like I block people that instigate that reaction, which I feel like I don't do a lot. So I have a pretty good circle on all the social media because nothing annoys me too much. But
when I think of Renee Miller, I think Twitter hater. That's what I think. No, of course not.
No.
You're a very nice person.
Not at all. No, So I guess one minor pet peeve is when people comment on my article or tweets like linking to my article without clearly having not read the article. Because it's like, somebody else tweet out, or I will tweet out some sort of like teasing headline or teaser about the article. And they're like, well, why didn't you think of this? I'm like, well, that's actually the third sentence.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not stupid.
Oh, it's so yeah, you know what? I hadn't thought of that before, but that is a huge pet peeve of mine as well. It's like, did you read the article? No, and it's not War and Peace, okay? It's very quick. You can read it really quickly, and then you can address me with questions afterward. Totally fine.
Yes.
Yeah, when it's just like, oh, well, it's obviously this guy. I'm like, no.
Lauren, you make a really good Chad face. Just want to point that out.
Yeah. Oh, I make a lot of weird faces. We were just talking about Schitt's Creek. Renee, have you ever seen Schitt's Creek?
Oh my God, of course I have, yes.
Okay, good. Because I'm late to this party, freely admitted. Very late to the party where
I was too.
I know. Okay. But like, what have I been missing all my life? And so I find myself being so Alexis and then Moira. And I'm like, what have I done? Oh my God, David.
Mix some more David in.
I know, David. Moira. Oi.
I watched episode 1 like on time and hated it.
It was a little slow to start off.
It took like 3 years before I was like, okay, all these people can't be wrong. I'm going to try again. And then I loved it.
Yeah. Awesome. I haven't gotten to the Bebe one yet.
The Bebe.
So. Yeah, the Bebe one. I haven't gotten to that one yet.
Have you gotten to the fold the cheese?
Yes.
That's my favorite.
There's so many things that go on in there. Awesome. All right, so I'll ask you a COVID question. Okay. Back in the days of dark quarantine, which I hope you're not still in dark quarantine because they were dark days.
They were dark
what
days
was your What was your go-to television show? Your binge, your binge, or if it wasn't TV, was it something else? Like I went deep because I work from home anyway, so it's like I'm perma quarantined, but I also live in Florida, so I can kind of do whatever I want anyway. But I've still went straight to books. I went Agatha Christie. I went back to, I read Emma, Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen stuff. So like,
I just read Emma
just be TV.
like a month ago.
It's one of those things.
I listened to it, but
I totally forgot that happened at the end. Like, oh my God, it's a great.
I'm reading
book.
Anna, listening again. I listen to all my books. But I'm reading Anna Karenina right now.
Oh my God, that I have it. Stand by.
Yeah. I'm halfway through, and I feel like it's been half my life already, but it's a very long book.
I actually got it at a thrift store, and it's the one with like Keira Knightley on the front, and because I guess they're coming out with that movie soon. But I have actually never read Anna Karenina.
I hadn't either.
So I'm right there with you.
It is more like what show didn't I watch during quarantine? I think that's what got me to do Schitt's Creek. But we watched everything. I watched everything on Apple. I think Apple TV Plus has a lot of really good stuff. Say, obviously, yes. And it sucks now that it comes out once a week.
I know.
Yeah. So is it over yet? Because my husband and I are binging it once it's done.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I hope not.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I hope
so.
Not.
Season 2 is not all done yet because we can't just like watch
it's
one
still
at a
coming.
Time. Okay.
Yeah, we're watching one at a time.
Barbarian.
Okay, I guess we'll just binge watch Schitt's Creek until the football season starts.
Yeah.
Because when that happens, I have no life. So
right. Your TV watching capability.
It is.
Do you like musicals?
No.
Yes.
Just no. I've never seen.
Just like no.
I've never seen like My Fair Lady. I've never seen Grease. We tried to watch La La Land, and I had to turn it off 10 minutes in.
Oh my God!
So no.
But well, then I won't recommend Schmigadoon to you.
Yeah, I've seen the ads.
Don't watch that.
It's very much like not recommended for you.
So do you like what kind of?
I loved it.
Okay.
Dead. So Renee, I do have a question for you too. So when you are watching football, what kind of a football spectator are you? Are you the stoic kind that's just, you know what, I'm going to put the phone down, not check my fantasy scores? Are you the insane kind? I'm the multiple TV person that has everything going on and food and screaming and yelling.
Sundays at Lauren's house are chaotic
insane.
Because
that's
4 TVs.
But now I work during it.
There's a spread of food on the table and on the counter. Lauren's on the back porch with another TV on her laptop.
NBC Sports, because I do a fantasy blog for NBC Sports. So I'm like, who scored for the next 4 touchdowns? Everyone's yelling names at me, and I'm like,
Josh and I, one of our hosts, were there for a Sunday last season in November. So towards the end of the season. And I actually wasn't there for much of the day because I went off adventuring. But when I got home, we were still in the swing of things. And Josh is calling from the living room. So-and-so just scored a touchdown. So-and-so just got a first down. So-and-so just intercepted it. Yeah. And I'm like, what did I walk into?
No, and then I'm screaming because I'm like, you're on my team. No, you're, because I'm on so many leagues.
Yeah.
That, like,
well, that's why I have my phone down. Oh, look, I have a visitor.
Stop it. No.
He looks like O'Reilly. He does. What's his name?
This is her. This is Clementine.
Hi, Clementine.
Only darling.
Stop it.
Yes.
That looks like my O'Reilly, except much smaller.
Yeah.
Like a third the size.
Oh, God, look at those colors. Wow. Okay, nothing like my cat. Way pretty. Cuter. Way prettier. Mine's a very generic tabby. That is not a look at those colors. Oh my goodness. So you're a put your phone down kind of person.
Belly. Yeah, because I'm in too many leagues. So one good thing happens to me, but then it also happens to my opponent, and it's too much to try to keep track of. So
I hear you. I'm the same.
I'll check at I'll check after the 4:00 games. East Coast 4:00.
Yeah, and I forget to set my lineups sometimes too. So everyone's like, "Yeah, I just beat the fantasy analyst." I'm like, I didn't set my lineup because I'm working.
I know. Yes.
Okay, I get
and then you run the forgetting to set your lineup, because in some leagues, like, you don't have to submit a lineup. Like in Yahoo, you have to submit it. In MFL, my fantasy league, you have to submit a lineup. In Sleeper, if they're in there, they're in there. In ESPN,
the other one,
they're in there. Like,
this is Eric and Cal.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, kitten.
No.
You don't exist. Sorry.
they're-
It's just a cat.
Yeah, they're related. They love each other.
Oh, that's so adorable.
Babies.
Oh, my husband's
They're
gonna kill me because I'm gonna go
babies.
get a cat tomorrow. Keep O'Reilly company.
Yeah,
Oh
get a kid.
Sick.
my god.
Just blame it on his delirium, Lauren. You're sick. You imagined it. There's not a second cat.
No.
I know. That's still O'Reilly.
It's a kitty party.
That's a kitty party.
That's still all right. He lost weight while you were sick. It's been a while, Joe. Why is his cat black?
By the time he notices he'll be too much in love to say no.
He's definitely allergic.
Yeah, except for that.
Oh, yeah.
But that's how much he loves Lauren.
Yeah, that's true. My husband's not an animal person, so I have a sugar glider. I actually used to have two. One just passed. 2 dogs and a cat with a husband that's like, I don't even know what to do with animals. Like, I can't get
I don't
them
like
out of
fur.
my face. Yeah, he is. He's like, ew, no, I can't. But yeah, he does secretly love them
And
very much.
they love the allergic person.
They do. They
Oh,
go
of
right up
course.
to
Cats
them.
especially are like, oh, you don't
Roll
like
right on
that?
his
Let me be
pillow.
all over
Uh-huh.
you.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
cats are kind of a jerk like that. Oh, you don't like me?
Totally.
Guess what?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, somebody's.
Oh, baby.
He's misses his sister. He's such a baby. So
He's a man.
dramatic. Yeah, it's a big crybaby man.
So I have one quick last question for you, one serious last question for you, Renee, before we wrap up. What is one piece of advice that you received that really helped to propel you to where you wanted to go? It can be from anyone, it could be anything, but what was it that stood out to you the most that says, you know what, I can do this?
I think it was there's been a lot of good advice. One is ignore other people and their opinions.
Yes.
Although sometimes that's, if the opinions are good, then you want to pay attention. But the one that, obviously struck a chord with me and made it work for me was to find your niche and be really good at that thing. Don't try to do what everyone else is doing. Try to find something that stands apart and is recognizable and that people would associate with you. So I had an easy route to that, I think, with the neuroscience stuff. But that was what kind of gave me the confidence of, because despite all the fantasy competition, I'm not a super competitive person. Like I get asked to do rankings almost every year by someone or another. And I'm like, you know what? Lots of people are out there doing rankings. Lots of people are doing projections. I'm not going to do it any better than they are. That's not my game. So I've never been one to want to compete and do exactly what someone else is doing, but rather to find my own path. And I think that
I don't do rankings because I'm lazy.
Yeah.
I don't do rankings because I hate numbers.
So we all have our reasons. I don't do it because
I'm
I
not
think somebody else does a better
doing
job.
Perfect.
Agreed.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it.
There are 500,000 other people already out there ranking. You
Yep.
don't need another one.
And many of them I
don't wanna
trust.
do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Renee, thank you so much for joining us. This has been interesting and enlightening and entertaining all at the same time.
And adorable. Can we throw
and
adorable?
Never
Yeah,
thought it's such a
kitten
well-rounded segment. Puppies, kittens,
They are.
just the whole kitten caboodle.
We
love
have
it.
it.
Oh.
We have it going on.
Nailed it. Oh my
Hi.
God, David.
Renee, thank you for joining us. Let
Thank
everybody
you for
know
having me.
where they can find you, where they can read your stuff, all of that.
When I'm in the mode of doing self-promotion, you can find my stuff on Twitter at Renee Miller01. But also I'll have a weekly article coming out, I think on Wednesdays at The Athletic fantasy section, and several daily fantasy articles on NBC Sports Edge every week. And those are free. Those are not
Nice.
behind the paywall on NBC Sports Edge.
That is fantastic.
My colleague, my coworker right here,
Yeah.
neuroscientist Renee, over on NBC Sports Edge.
Yeah. What do you think about the name, Lauren?
I actually don't mind it because for someone who may not know, for example, no one in my family or close friends know anything about fantasy football, nor do they really know much about sports. So when I tell people, I'm like, oh, hey, I'm a freelance writer for Roto World, they're like, what the heck is that? As opposed to saying, I'm a freelance writer for NBC Sports Edge. So like, oh, name recognition almost immediately. So that I have never minded the change. I'm like, why were you called Roto World in the first place? Like, I don't like NBC.
I think it
makes sense.
It's accurate. It doesn't roll off my tongue yet. It was Roto World for too long.
Because Roto World has that, like, it has those R sounds and those just those two R's that go NBC right in the Roto World. Yeah. I feel you.
I think it's much more accurate though.
Yeah,
and
it is.
I mean, for DFS and sports betting and all the other stuff that they're involved in, it total sense.
Yeah, for sure. NBC Sports Edge. E before you. E before you, right?
E before you, Lauren.
I got it.
Point in the right direction, Lauren. Good job, sister.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm #winning at life right now.
Look at you both.
I need my fan on.
I'm easy.
Lauren and I go through this at least twice every year. We're like, this is like, because it's the opposite of the way you want to point. So it's like,
just do one of those.
And then you end up voguing. Yeah.
That works.
Now there's Madonna in my head. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Renee.
Thank you for having me. This is such so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Such an interesting perspective that you think that you bring to things. And it's, it's neuroscience, but at the same time, it's something that we do and we think and we engage in every single day. And it is something that is very pervasive in all of our lives, not just in fantasy football. And you bring such a unique perspective to that, to be able to have some objective view on how we can make our own decisions, not just in fantasy football, but also just in life in general. So it's been so fascinating being able to meet you and, because we're co-workers and stuff,
Yeah, colleagues.
My girl Renee, You go to lunch.
100%.
For NBC Sports Edge.
NBC Sports Edge. E before you.
You got
it. You got it.
Thank you so much for joining us. And
Thank you, Faith.
Around Twitter and on
of course.
NBC Sports Edge. And the other
Absolutely. See you there.
For you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Renee.
My cheeks hurt.
I know, mine too. My eyes are watering. Is my mascara running?
No, you're fine. You look gorgeous now. Like,
oh my goodness, I was laughing and laughing. What a fun slate we had here. I'm super bummed I had to miss last week, but I was sick. Ugh.
We were bummed to miss you as well. Stephania was bummed. Laura was bummed.
I know, but I was watching and trying to comment, and my internet was being stupid. And
we saw your comments. We saw you.
Yeah, I know. I saw you asking questions. My questions too. Yay.
Yes, we felt your love. So I feel like there's a swan song playing that nobody can hear but me. I know, it's sad. It's sad that this is the end of Women of Fantasy Football for 2021.
It's not the end. It's just the end of the big endorsement of it.
This is true. This is true, which also means it's the beginning of planning for 2022.
That's right.
And I kind of went big this year, so I don't know how I'm going to top it.
You did go big, girlfriend. Well done. Big, huge shout out to Faith, who planned everything. Now, when I say, I've said it a few times, I'll say it again. When I'm the groom, I just show up. That's what I do. I literally bring very little to the table when it comes to Women of Fantasy Football. The people behind this are Faith, who she gets out there and she gets everyone. She wants to get people involved. And then there's Josh, who is in charge of all of our giveaways, also in charge of the promotions. And then Joe does something and Ryan does something. I don't even know, but
I think they heckle. I don't really know.
Mostly Faith. It's mostly Faith and Josh. But yeah, thank you guys again for having me on as your co-host, Faith. I think you crushed it last week, and it's been so amazing. And remember, we do all of this for the women of, not just Women of Fantasy Football, but the Women's Sports Foundation.
Yes.
Also, make sure you follow Cooter Doodle as well. It's at Cooter Doodle. Yes. It's a turtle, everyone. It's actually a thing. But to help with disaster relief for everyone in New Orleans and in Louisiana who are dealing with those things right now, our hearts are going out to you. If you can hear us, one of my favorite cities in the whole world. So, yeah, 2022, here we come.
Here we come. Josh, do you have any final parting words? Because I know you are creeping in the background like a creeper.
Stop. That's just mean.
Lurker.
Jesus.
Lurking.
Man. Now I just feel dirty.
Oh,
Goodness
please.
gracious.
Did you shower?
Man.
I think you'll be fine.
Anyway.
Man, that hair. Okay,
Oh, yeah?
girl.
Oh,
I see
amazing.
you.
Okay.
Ooh.
Hey.
Oh.
All right. No, first off, I
Sorry.
got a chance to say this in person to Cooter, and that's the one thing that I've missed out on, is that because I'm usually in the middle, I miss being able to say thank you to the second guest. So, Renee, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure to hear about how you got involved with fantasy and all the great things that you're doing. I'm just blown away by this lineup that we've had this year. Kate and Michelle, Stacie Stern, Liz Loza, Melissa Jacobs, Stephania Bell. I've been following her for so many years, and that was definitely a highlight for me this year. Laura Okmin, obviously Cooter, Renee. It's just been absolutely fantastic. The giveaways I went above and beyond, probably more so than I should have, but I'm not going to complain because we raised $2,305 this year for the Women's Sports Foundation. It's a little short of the $3,000 goal that I wanted, but
we were doubling from last year, though. Exactly.
Yeah,
we topped last year, so I'm one of those types of people. I like to shoot for the moon. It's just what I do.
Hey, you know what they say?
Next year,
shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among stars.
There you go. And we topped last year, so I will take it. So as a result, I can't thank everybody that donated. I can't thank you guys enough. Guys, women, children, whomever donated. It was absolutely fantastic. Dennis, 3-time winner. Josh Jacobs, 2-time winner. I definitely was not expecting. But shout out to everybody that won. I hope you all display your winnings proudly. Tweet us pictures when they arrive.
Yes.
Would absolutely love to share.
FFL,
because not only is it great promotion for the fun stuff that we're doing with Women of Fantasy, but it's inspiration for future years, because this is what we're doing. We'll see how next year plays out. We'll probably start planning it in January to February. Give us a little bit of time to enjoy the season. And I don't know who we're going to have next year, but I don't know how we're going to top this year. So,
you know what? I have made some powerful friends now who know other powerful friends.
Super true.
They're like this
Super
now.
true.
I'm loving it.
So before,
I cannot thank you two enough either, because you two are the cogs that make this engine go. So thank you.
Lauren's just the wheel that sits there and spins, and everybody else spins around her.
I'm just a pole. Just that's it. That's all I have, a spindle.
Josh, did you just spit truly?
I'm sorry?
I said, did you just spit truly?
No.
Oh, well, you
brand new computer. I'm not trying to defile it. Come on.
Oh, homeboy got a brand new computer. Oh, hey. Okay.
Hey. Oh my God, David.
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 Baby. When one of us shines, we all shine.
So I guess we have to say goodbye.
Anyway, so before we say goodbye, Lord, Saturdays in season starts at different day. You'll get to see my lovely face again. But at that point, I'll be trying to wrangle the 3 guys. I might need a bell because they like to talk over each other. Oh, you're definitely
going to need a bell, because we're also going to have guests on with the 3 of us.
Yeah. Lord Jesus, help me. And unfortunately for you, starting next week, it's back to the 3 boys. I know it won't be as beautiful. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. But Josh, let everybody know what's going on next week.
Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, no pun intended, as we preview week 1 of the NFL season. And Thursday, you get the premiere of DFS and Chill.
My girl, Kira.
Hosting. Our lead DFS writer, Kira Wojtrowski, will be on the show. And our first guest of DFS and Chill, Chris Robin, aka Detroit
Oh,
Beasties
I
on
mean,
Twitter.
There's literally nobody better to have as your first guest for DFS and Chill.
And then a week from Saturday is week 1 of Start Sit Different Day, hosted by Faith, featuring myself, Joe Zolo, Ryan Weiss, and some guests that we haven't contacted yet. So we'll see.
Do you guys have a guest lined up for next Wednesday? Or is it just you three?
No. During the season, we're doing just the 3 of us on Wednesdays.
Just the 3 of us. On that note, everybody, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining. We will see you. Lauren and I will see you for Women of Fantasy Football sometime next year. Josh will see you next Wednesday, and we will see you for Start Sit Different Day on the first Saturday of the season. Have a good night and a good week, everybody.